The original animated Mulan movie was released all the way back in 1998 and still is so brilliant and holds up today, despite having a live action remake, and so is such a brilliant movie. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. Hope you're doing well. In this video we are going to be reviewing Mulan, which is an animated musical adventure movie that was released over 20 years ago, but is still so powerful and game-changing in how it really does put up a magnifying glass on Eastern traditions, the role of men and women, and the role of families as well, and has a really powerful and fearless yet really relatable lead character. And like I said, even though it's been released such a long time ago, despite this, it still holds up today. And even with the live action remake being created most recently, but despite that, I still feel like this movie is definitely still able to hold its own and really does show that the Disney Renaissance era was definitely its glory days, and I'm going to be breaking it all down for you in this movie review. So the plot of Mulan is relatively simplistic, but boy does it pack a punch. So the Hun's army are invading Imperial China, which leads to the Emperor ordering one man from every single family having to join in on the war effort. As Mulan's father is of very ill health, she goes in his place, and the film then explores whether or not she is going to be able to survive, whether or not she is going to be able to be caught, and whether or not they're actually going to win this war. Now, from a positive point of view, this movie has such powerful moments. For example, when they witness all of the other soldiers that have been massacred by the previous army, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Also, the snow avalanche scene is really pivotal as well. And all of the mini war scenes that they have throughout this movie are really powerful. But at the same time as this, they've also got some comedic moments, mainly from the Eddie Murphy Mushu character, who definitely brings the comedy gold to this movie. And it's also got a bit of a romantic storyline happening in this movie, with Mulan falling for her leader, which I think is really interesting, and is also definitely full of tons of Chinese culture, which makes this movie really cool. However, from a negative point of view, I guess they could have had more interactions with the villains and with Mulan and her army characters. But that being said, they definitely do have this in the end of the movie, and instead they wanted to focus on the scene setting, the world building, and all of Mulan's interactions with all of the different characters. And so from a storyline point of view, I feel like this movie is actually really solid. So the cast and characters of the animated Mulan movie are absolutely brilliant, so let's go through them one by one. So first up we have Ming-Na Wen, who does a brilliant job in voicing the Mulan character, and she plays all of the different facets of this character so well. So for example, being a bit of a rebellious character in the beginning of this movie, whilst also having a lot of heart and great family values and love for her family, which is why she's obviously willing to put her life on the line, which I think is really interesting, as you then see a completely different dimension to this character, and it really examines the role of men and women and whether or not they can interact on the same level playing field. Obviously things have moved and progressed so much since this movie, and I definitely feel like it was a really interesting point in time in really questioning all of these different roles, especially for an Eastern audience. And I just feel like she also plays the comedic side of this character and the romantic side of this character, and of course all of the dramatic moments with this character. So I definitely feel like Mulan is definitely bringing something new, not only to animation but also to the Disney portfolio as well. Next up we have Eddie Murphy, who did such a brilliant job in bringing the Mushu character to life, and he was just so brilliant. All of his comedic timing with all of his different comedic lines was absolutely brilliant. And you can also see the mini storyline with this character in terms of being a rejected dragon within his little community and wanting to prove them wrong, whilst also being a bit of a guardian figure to Mulan. He does have his own agenda at points, but I just feel like he brings so much to this movie, and also having the cricket character being his little partner in command really does make the Mushu character very unique and just adding so much to this movie. Next up we have BD Wong, who is playing the Shang character. I think it's really interesting, as he's obviously a leader figure, and they did change the Shang character in the live action remake, as they wanted to make Shang on the same level as Mulan. But I do think it's an interesting question in terms of whether it is right or wrong for a leader to fall in love with someone that they're looking after, and also he is able to learn a lot from the Mulan character, and I just really like all of their interactions. Next up we have Miguel Ferrer playing Shan Yu, who is the leader of the opposing army. Like I said before, they could have done a little bit more with this character, but you know, that being said, he definitely makes his mark in the final act of this movie, and of course all of the deaths that he is causing, which is just really, really sad. But you know, from a casting character's point of view, I feel like they did such a good job in bringing all of them to life in Mulan. So from a visuals point of view, like I said before, you know, this movie was released 20 years ago, but that being said, it definitely still holds the test of time and is still able to hold its own as well, as the animation style is really, really great. You are able to get behind all of it. It is very much in line with Aladdin and with The Lion King as well, but I think it's really, really great. You know, it's definitely not on the same level as Raya the Last Dragon, but that being said, all of the scenes are definitely still able to have an impact, and it does really immerse you into the world of Mulan, and it does look really, really impressive from a visuals point of view. In terms of comparisons, even though it looks a little bit similar to Aladdin and to Lion King, I don't think it's as good as Aladdin or Lion King or Raya the Last Dragon. But you know, that being said, I do think it's a lot better than Moana, Pocahontas and Brave, and oh god, the Mulan sequel just really undoes all of the brilliance that the first film is setting up, and so I think this film is miles better than the sequel. And also, like I said before as well, of course we've had the live action remake being released very recently, and I do think this movie is a lot more superior to that film. That film definitely takes away a lot of the great things as well that this movie is setting up. It definitely is still enjoyable for what they are trying to do. Obviously they're trying to do a new take on the animation, which I do think is great. By the way, you can check out my review for the live action remake via the link in the description box below. But you know, that being said, still I do feel like the animation movie is still superior to the live action movie as well. So overall, I really, really enjoyed Mulan. Even though it was released quite a long time ago, I think it's still a brilliant movie. I love escaping into the world of Mulan. But you know, that being said, even though it is a bit extreme in what it does with the storyline, it does still have an undercurrent of realism in there, which I think is why it's so groundbreaking and pioneering. As like I said before, it really does examine culture and really looks at it so brilliantly. I feel like the researchers of this movie did a really, really good job in ensuring that they are representing everything really, really well. And like I said, from a storyline point of view, this is great. From a casting characters point of view, this is great. And also from a visuals point of view, they definitely immersed you into this movie really, really successfully. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.